entrepreneurs struggle to sit in the silence. We create projects when we're silent. It scares us when we're silent. So the ability to sit in the silence to evaluate, who am I? Our identity is often lost in pleasing others, in roles that we are in our life, whether it's, a mom, a wife, a psychotherapist. We get lost in all of that. So when you have the ability to sit in the silence, take a pen to paper. So many people want to pop open the computers and type it out. I respect it, but there's something very cathartic about sitting down with pen and paper and writing out your values. What is most important to you? When you look at what your strengths are, what's most important to you, what is a business then you can develop from your strengths, not from finances, not from something that isn't authentic to you, right? But when you develop that list, then you can develop the business that really resonates with you, and it's successful, not because it's about, the next niche market, but it's about your passion.
Right.
It's about purpose. It's about legacy more than anything.
Absolutely. And to add on that even more, there's actually 2 books that I read that I feel like has helped me find that point of success for me. One of my favorite books and authors, Gary Vaynerchuk, and his second book that he ever wrote was called Crush It. And in that book, he just talks about finding what you're passionate about and finding what your strength is. And if you can find, what you're passionate about and what your strength is, the money's going to come. Don't let that be the be all and end all. But what are you passionate about and what are you talented at as far as your strengths? And bring those two together and use the platforms as far as like social media goes, as Facebook or Twitter and Instagram and things like that, and find your space, whether it's in audio. Maybe you want to do a podcast. Maybe you don't want to be on camera, but you can be behind a microphone.
Right.
Maybe you like to be in front of the camera, but don't want to be just behind the microphone. Okay, you can do a YouTube show. Maybe you like maybe those things aren't comfortable for you, but you like to write a blog. Or if your artistic sense are for visuals, you can do pictures.
Absolutely.
So, find, out of those 4 things, the way a means to kind of distribute who you are as far as your talent and what you're passionate about. Maybe you're a chef and you want to write a cooking blog. You can do that. Or if you want to do YouTube videos, there's a lot of different avenues you can take it. So Crush It is a book that I would highly recommend. And then also a book that I read was actually called The Success Intersection, where it talks about finding that intersection of where you can strive and be highly talented at and also be highly successful in. So those are 2 things that I would add on to what you said as far as like things that people can use to help themselves be more successful and find, what they're passionate about. So,
well, and the other thing I would encourage that I'm really committed to is journaling.
Nice.
Whether that looks like just a standard journal or your planner. Right now I'm head over heels with the Passion Planner, and it really is about creating the art of organization, because whenever you create that art of organization, you're committed to it and more accountable. If it's not on the schedule, it doesn't exist. Right? And so everything that I do is on my planner. And if it's not there, then I end up sitting on the couch.
Right.
And doing nothing.
Yeah.
So that's very important too for entrepreneurs, because we are often all over the place. You need that focal point.
That's something that I found myself having to do, is just whenever I stay organized on something and I put it in my calendar or I write it down in a planner or something along those lines, it keeps me organized. Because one of the first things I always do when I know I need to call someone, follow up with someone, book somebody for the show or do a show. Yeah. As soon as that happens, as soon as someone say, hey, call me, on Tuesday at 3 p.m. As soon as I get off the phone, it's on the calendar. Because if I don't put it on the calendar, A, I'll forget.
Right.
But B, it keeps me on track. And then when the time comes to make that follow-up call, I'm good and ready to go.
Yes.
So it definitely keeps you accountable. And and another thing that I always like to do, something that I've been kind of experimenting with right now, is I also have a newsletter, so I'll put out what I want to do in the future. So when people see that and they're like, dude, you say you're going to do this, where's that?
Right.
So when people know what I'm trying to do and I put a date on it, it's like, it keeps me accountable. It's like, okay, that date is getting closer. I need to start working on this. I need to push something out. So it always keeps that in the back of my mind to just staying accountable to what I'm trying to pursue. So those are definitely some. I feel that's a good section right there.
That is.
And we got a lot out of that.
Yes.